The best salespeople in the world are the ones who do it without you even noticing. Everyone's a salesperson, especially if you're an entrepreneur. In the I'm Not Salesy podcast, join me, Cassie McKenzie, and my fabulous guests as we dive into the top strategies, mindset, and energetics around sales and money so that you can hear more, yes, I'm in, instead of crickets or getting ghosted. So if you're ready to fully book out your programs with aligned AF clients and have people chasing you down in your inbox, asking how to work with you, then subscribe to this podcast today and become not salesy too. Hello and welcome to another episode of the I'm Not Salesy podcast. So I'm your host, Cassie McKenzie, and I have a special guest today. As you guys may or may not know, I am a sales coach for online service entrepreneurs. And so I really don't believe in all of the pushy sales tactics and all of that garbage. It just feels icky. And I created a really successful career in sales for over 20 years starting with relationships. And that's what I love to teach you. And that's what I love to teach online. In addition to, if you're coming over to this podcast from the Topless Manifester, then you know that I love talking about money too. And always my episodes on money manifestation, money mindset, they were like off the charts, the most popular ones, because everybody loves money. And we're just like, how can I get more of it without, being a total sleaze bag? So I've got a great guest today. So Alejandra Rojas is always on the move, okay? And she is a finance professional and a coach and a money mindset expert who helps new entrepreneurs to become the most profitable version of themselves using her highly effective R.I.CH and M.E.S.S methods. I can't wait to get into this. I'm so excited. So a little bit about Alejandra. After she reached rock bottom when money burnout was reactivated in an old life-threatening sickness again, which I am so sorry that you went through. Like, that really sounds awful. And she learned that she had to design new methods to attract money without losing her life. And ever since, Alejandra and her clients are crushing goal after goal in life and in business, from traveling and dream weddings to more income. So she also has a podcast called Dear Lack, Let's Break Up. And you can also find her work in Yahoo Finance, Go Banking Rate, Clever Girl Finance Podcast, and others. So I'm so excited to dive into this. Tell me a little more about this story and what was your money mindset and wealth consciousness before versus after? Like, what was that all about?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for that introduction. And yeah, that is story was what got me like today here where I am being the money mindset coach for female entrepreneurs. So uh, it really turns back when I was a little kid. So when I was a little kid, I was diagnosed with a health immune system condition that, for X or Y reason, doctors didn't really give a positive outcome to my or positive perspective to my parents. They
Mhm.
say, well, enjoy her because she's going to be just here until 6 years old or
Oh my
8 years old
God,
max.
no. That's
uh,
awful.
yeah, so that really pushes them to look for different ways. Look for my mom is very into manifestation, positive thinking, dreaming as well. So I remember going into different type of therapies alone. And it really, at the age of 6, it started to be appealing to me, dreaming and dream books and what else can I aspire, like I want to be here, I want to be alive, and all of these things. So my mindset journey, like and the journey of more and mindset itself has been since I was a little kid. And when you grow up, you get into the adultish life, you forget about all this stuff. Yeah, I study finances. I was in college for finances. I love numbers, finances, like my love language for sure. And then I did all the correct steps, only to find out that doing the correct step were like left me on a money burnt out because
Yeah.
I was unhappy. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just chasing the quote unquote success that I needed to chase, but it wasn't my success at all, my definition of success at all.
Yeah.
Um, so Money Burnt Out came out, and it came out in a very specific way for me, which was active reactivating this old sickness. The
Oh.
way that I knew, because this condition, it gives you purple spots on your body, like
Mhm.
you can press or hit yourself and immediately you have a purple spot that is the red platelets or something like that. It's down, and oh, the whole thing. So that was what I was starting to see on my body. And I was like, okay, I already have chosen to ignore the vomiting, the crying. I'm seeing these purple spots again.
Oh.
Um, and then I was like, okay, that is something I need to know, because I know it's about my mind. It's where I put my mind, where I'm my focus. Until one day I was going to work, and on my way to work, I fainted. And I never fainted before, never have fainted after. It was just like my body had enough. And he's like, okay, this is it. You need to rethink everything that you're doing. Um, because of my own upbringing as well, I knew that my life is valuable, that like
Mm.
one day, one
Yeah.
at a specific moment here, it should be something to be joyful about and grateful about, and not to be worrying about money. And my conflict was that I was a finance professional.
Yeah.
I supposed to had all like control over all these things. I was like, the imposter syndrome was huge. But then I had the decision to make whether this was going to be like such a fraud. Let's change the career and betrayed my passion and love for finances, or going to my own journey and starting to see how I'm gonna make this work, because it is not possible that I'm gonna trade my health and my life for money, but I'm not gonna walk away from it either. So it was very intentional journey, healing journey with myself, knowing about my money story. I never heard like, what the hell was money story? Like, what do we have a money story? Like 4 years of college, nobody
Nobody
tells you
says
about
money
that.
story.
Right, right. So it was a very intentional and very a path that I had to go through. And
Yeah.
that was when the MESS method was developed. In this path, I moved from countries. I transferred from United States. I passed from living in United States to be living in New Zealand. So it was a lot of different conditions, a lot of different behaviors of people with money, and I was in that observing mode and with my own journey. And this really three different layers of money, a method and framework to deal with money, that not only talks about the numbers, about the strategy, about how to do this so that you get X outcome, came about. It's a whole. We are whole as a
Yeah.
business owners. We are like, your business is a whole too. So it's not just about the strategies, about the mindset, and it's about the emotions as well. So MESS stands for
Yeah.
mindset, emotion, strategy, synergy, which is, we are all with money are a whole, and in such a deeper ways that we cannot understand until we actually work on it.
Mhm. Oh my God, so good. Yeah, like it's I mean, incredible. How long did that process take from when you fainted to when you're like, okay, I've
Mm,
got it, things are right? Because I can imagine there was a lot of internal battle there, where it was
yeah,
like, how am I supposed to how am I supposed to back off of my finance job and at the same time approach this airy fairy kind of way of making money
right,
and
right.
in a way that makes my body happy? Like how that seems to like
Yeah.
I would be like,
Yeah,
like my mind would explode.
yeah, I think it sounds um a lot, because I'm looking retrospective, but it was really by stages. There was one thing certain for me, which was I will get better.
Yeah.
I will, like, my health is my priority. And there was another certain thing that was that I'm gonna figure this out with money because I know how to make this work. So those two things came on the play, and at the beginning of the journey was really about knowing myself with money,
Mhm.
what those understandings and rules and standards were mine and which ones were from my parents or
Yeah.
from my society or from whatever, right? So the process was, I would say, about a year or so, but it was piece by
It's
piece, like,
deep.
okay, let's just start understanding what do we know to be truth right now and what we want to be our reality. And it
Yeah.
sucked. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just like I was in such a limited place. I was in such a lack,
Yeah.
that I couldn't believe that was there were other ways to live differently.
Yeah.
And that's why living in New Zealand also helped a lot because it was a completely different standard,
Yeah.
and it was such a mind opening, like, oh, so I can do whatever I want and I still will get the money. Oh, let's go with that flow. So it was a lot of
But also it's like
adapting.
hella expensive in New Zealand too, though, right? Like I have
Yeah,
friends that live there and stuff. So for some people it could be like, "Oh my God, I need to figure this out and it's so expensive," and like just throw you fully into the
yeah,
rat pool, you know? So
yeah.
that's
I
how do you
honestly didn't think about it.
yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. You don't
I
even give it
yeah,
attention.
yeah, I honestly didn't think about it. If I made it work in one place, I will make it work in another place. It
Yeah.
didn't occur to my mind that price, and that is to show you what prices really do, and expensive or cheap is just a subjective thing because
Yeah.
when you see the value of something, when the value triggers your want and your need, it doesn't matter the
Yeah.
monetary amount, the price. So that was what really happened to me. I was
Mhm.
like, listen, this place is calling me, I'm connecting, I'm having everything, I'm just whatever, I'm gonna go. And the journey started, and it was really the path that I needed to follow, one way or another one, because it was I started my business there. I started my podcast there. I started this whole journey there. And I was like, wait, you are telling me that all of this happened because I changed my perspective about money? I was like, whoa, this is just mind blowing.
Yeah. Did you have you oh my God, so many questions. This is such a vibe. I love these stories because honestly, like if you think about the world, like there's a lot of people going through a lot of hardship, you know, and you know, layoffs here in America. There's been 50,000 layoffs just in 1 week in the tech sector. And I think with a lot of people, especially starting businesses and setting out to make sales, you don't realize how much of this work gets in the way of you landing clients, right? Or even
Yeah.
being approachable, or even projecting your own beliefs onto what you think people
Mm,
will need. You know, like you see somebody who is a perfect person, you know, who's no different. Like, say, like I serve online service entrepreneurs. For example, like I'll give an example. Like say I look at somebody on LinkedIn with 500 followers, and then I look at some, and then I'm like, oh, they might need my help, right? And then I
mhm,
look at somebody with 100,000 followers, and I might say, well, obviously they've got their sales shit in order. They don't need my
mhm.
help at all, you know? And so, but honestly, the followers are not there. There's no commonality. Like there's plenty of people. Like I saw somebody the other day who has like 160,000 followers, who said her highest month was $50,000 in sales. And I thought, damn, that seems kind of low for that amount of followers, because I've seen people with 2,000 who make $100,000 in sales a month, And so the money part is just like you said, it's just subjective. And you've got to
Mhm.
be aware of the patterns going on in your own head about what's possible, so that not just you sort your own shit out, but that you're not projecting it out on the world around you, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely, as you just said, one of the main problems that I
I get
target
chills when I
inside of
say that too. I'm like,
yeah, one of the main programs that I target in one of my programs to better your relationship with money is exactly that, because especially female entrepreneurs, we tend to project our own story, our own emotions to our clients, and we close down that door. It's like I remember I did this post so vividly. I need to do it again on Instagram and say, do not reject your clients only because it was your story. And the scary part of this is that it's happening at a subconscious level.
yeah.
Things that you do with money happens in a subconscious level. You need to turn your awareness button so much up to be able to understand that what you're doing is me story, and it's not your client's story, because that is public for everybody, regardless of how many followers they have,
Yeah.
regardless of how much experience they have. Those are metrics that different people will understand in different ways. But the fact that you are closing the door,
Uh-huh.
even without it starting, because, oh, maybe this is something that really happens to my clients. Oh, my community cannot afford my prices,
Yeah.
or the
I hear
people
that
that
a
I
lot.
serve, yeah, the people that I serve will never be able to pay that. No, that's not true. You couldn't do it, and that's okay. At that moment, you couldn't do it, and that's okay. But that's your story. That's not
Mhm,
your client's story. So, what you need to do is to heal that part of your story that is being projected,
mhm,
and just turn it around and say, listen, I know that I can help you with this. And that's it.
mhm. Yeah. So what does rich stand for? I'm so curious in your method. So you told us
Yes.
about mess, and tell us about rich. Rich.
Right. So REACH is specifically designed to increase income. REACH stands for recurring income creation habits. So when
Ooh,
when you
juicy.
yeah, so what I do with REACH, and I put it on my program Income Accelerator, it's all about increasing income, breaking through that income plateau, and level up and scale to the 10K months consistently as a female entrepreneur. Rich is really living and embodying mess. It's
Yeah.
when you are actively um, changing your mindset, putting new seeds in your brain to open the perspective, when you are
Mhm,
regulating your nervous system. This is huge. And that is part of what I do as well with you may or may not have, most likely you will have some financial trauma. We
yeah,
all have.
sure. Yeah.
So when you are working to increase your income, specifically when you are embodying that mindset, working with your emotions, regulating your nervous system so it can bypass that trauma, and when you're applying the strategy, you're not shining away from your magic, you are going and selling, you are going and inviting people to your products. When you're living with those parameters, then you can start creating your recurring income creation habits, because
Mhm,
that's what we want, right? A business owner, we want to have the consistency that once was the definition of safety with money,
mhm.
in back on the day when you were 9 to 5, or when it's
Yeah.
just, as a society, that's the definition of safety with money,
Right.
consistency, right? So
Yeah.
that's what we want to do, and that's what rich really allows it. So it's a lot of it's a combination of techniques, it's a lot of clearly breakthrough mindset shifts that you need to do, a
Mhm.
lot of nervous system regulation with different techniques or strategies, methodologies. I use a lot of hypnosis. I use a lot of subconscious. Again, most of my work is talking
Yeah.
with the subconscious. Like with my clients, the moment that I say, "Hey, how are you? How was your day?" After that, I'm talking to the subconscious. So sometimes it's not really making sense. Like, okay, Ali, why are you talking about trees or elephants or whatever? Like, I'm I'm painting a picture for your mind so that it can relate on there in the subconscious language, which is images, emotions, and nothing logical. That let's just put it that way, nothing logical.
Right.
So really inside of reach the method, we have different techniques so that you can advance on that income, so you can accelerate your income, because at the end of the day what we want is to shift the definition of safetiness with money, increase that income, and get to the level of, okay, this is my new normal. I cannot go lower than this. Just
Yeah.
like you have we all have a normal with money,
Mhm.
and that's why income plateaus get created. So what we do is to increase it, show it, and regulate and say, oh, I can stay here, so let's go for more. And I can stay here, it's safe for me to stay here, let's go for more.
Yeah. Yeah, like so much of it is like value and inner worth that we attach, and so what I've seen a lot is people who might come from corporate could go land a job in corporate that's six figures tomorrow and have the confidence of like, like the BDE completely, and like I could get that, I could get that job, like no problem. But then if they've been on like the coaching side or service side for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, and just literally staying in a very low income, like pizza delivery people making more than what you're making in your coaching industry, the coaching business, right? Like
Yes.
if you've been in that, then you start to create such a powerful story around what it's like being in business that, it's hard to transfer that big dick energy from your, job, like going to get your job into your business because you like feel like such a loser. Like people come to me, they're like, I am like, with all like the loser thoughts, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you could go and do this tomorrow and like with that right same energy. So what would you say to somebody like that? Because I know I work with a lot of people like that and that they're listening to the podcast because let's face it, sales is not easy. It takes a lot of, belief in yourself. And if you don't have the full belief in your value and in your worth, then it's going to be an uphill battle. And that's usually where I start with people too.
Yeah. Well, I always say this, and is that work with your brain and not against it.
Okay. Yeah.
The reason why you are feeling like a complete loser and that tomorrow you can land a six figures, a job or whatever, and you cannot do it with your business, is because your brain has understood what is safe for you to do and how it's safe for you to get money. And that's where my work is mostly about. You have created a comfort zone with money in such a deep level that it's not really you doing something intentionally. It comes from mostly when you are from 0 to 7, that you are subconscious mind walking. So it's about what your parents told you, what your caregivers, what your school, everything around you, what you absorb. And now your brain is telling you, listen, I know you want to make money, but it is not safe for you. Like, imagine how many years it will take. Imagine like who you are to make this happen. Don't go there. Go and land the job. And then you give
Yeah.
in into that old pathway, and that's the result that you get. So when
Mhm.
I say work with your brain and not against that, is like a start by shifting that narrative, by healing that narrative and really getting to the story that you have right there. One
Mhm.
of the questions that I love to do, the people
So
that I
good.
start working with is, Tell me what your parents say about entrepreneurs. And
Yeah.
tell me what your parents said about having money as an entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be you. It can
Yeah.
be the person that put a shop, the neighbor that decided to leave the job. Tell me how they refer to
Mhm.
that kind of people. And I will tell you exactly where we need to start to shift out, because
Right.
that is where the nitty gritty comes in. So most definitely listen to those emotions that are coming to the surface. Why are you feeling such a loser? And if you start digging a little bit deeper on why you're feeling that, you will get to the point to understand, well, I'm feeling a loser because I should have been generating money, and I
Mhm.
knew, and after conversations and all that, I know that if I don't make money, my parents, my wife, my husband will look at me and say, well, this is not working, you should get a real job.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's like, wait a minute, this is my real job. So we need to start changing that story.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, and then because it's really interesting to see that patterning there of like, because another one, something that usually comes up is like, well, it's okay for other people to do that, but like,
Mm,
but one of my children, no, it just doesn't work out. It's safer to just go get another job, even if you've been like, that was one thing I had to work through personally. I'm an open book on these podcasts, but like, because my mom would look at like my brother tried to do his own thing, and then I tried to get my real estate license and it didn't work out. And it was always like, well, once it's like the silent judgment of we're just
yeah.
not going to say anything unsupportive. We're just going to cheer once you actually get a real job and be like, oh, thank God, I was hoping you'd do that. You know what I mean? And so, like, for me, that was a big thing to work through
Yeah.
because that puts that story on you of, well, it's safe for other people. Other people can do the entrepreneur
Yeah.
thing. Other people can be successful, but I can't. It's safer and I can make money easier in a corporate job, you know?
Yeah.
And even I had been laid off like 6 times in a row I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for 20 years, and I lost my job 6 times through due to, like, layoffs because it's a volatile industry too. It was like the original
Yeah.
tech industry of, like, they keep us for a year and
Right.
then let go. And once it was, like, 2 weeks before Christmas, and so, there was no sa it was all an illusion, the golden handcuff illusion of
Mm.
safety, but, your subconscious doesn't care what color the handcuffs are. They just don't want you to find the key, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it's so true what you say. It's an illusion. And here's the thing, because it is an illusion, you can plan a new illusion, right? And that's most of the work.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you have one reality, you can have another reality. If you are making money on your corporate job, you can make money on your business. You can make money in other career if that's what you want. Now, how believable is that for your brain, and how your nervous system will allow new information to enter? That
Mhm.
is the real job. And this is why I'm so obsessed and passionate with R.I.CH, because I combine, like, your nervous system is like the gates keeping things
Yeah,
outside
because
of
it's,
you.
like, constricting.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So what we do is to really see how these gates come down when I'm telling you information, um, and you start absorbing that, like, oh, that is really a good thing to do. That is like having or increasing my level of money right now. It's a really good thing to do, but I only can get to that point if your nervous system is
Yeah.
down, if you are working from a stress place, from I don't have money, I don't know how I'm gonna make this work, I should go back and look for something else, then we are not gonna get that far.
Yeah. Yeah. So you say you use like hypnosis. I'm trained in hypnosis too, but it was been like we didn't actively use it right away. So I'm like, oh, maybe
Yeah,
I should go back and like revisit that course again. It's one
yeah,
thing to get, that's why certifications to me are like whatever,
yeah,
because like you got to use
exactly.
it every day or else you lose it, you
Yeah,
know? So
yeah.
I would love, do you like sell standalone hypnoses for money or have any like packages that people could purchase or anything like that? Or is it mainly just one-on-one that you do?
Yeah, it's one-on-one. It is inside of the programs because I don't have a recording for it. So
Yeah.
what we do is that on our sessions, I will get pieces of what is it that it's happening. So we really get to the bottom of it. Because with the money mindset and with every mindset, but specifically with money mindset, you got layers of depth of why. Like think of it like one idea was planted when you were 3 years old or
Yeah.
4 years old. And then you have magnetized more and more reasons of why that idea works and it is truth for you.
Mhm.
So we have to go to the different layers of that. So I usually do the hypnosis one-on-one, working with whatever is coming up. We
Mhm.
clear up and people takes the recording, and I also combine it with a lot. It's not just
Yeah.
hypnosis. We do time traveling with through the emotion,
Yeah.
which is when this happened, why did it happen. We shift the energy. I'm a huge believer on energy work as well.
Yeah.
um so we shift the energy there. We come back, we visualize and change the pattern. I also do some RRT, which is rapid resolution therapy sometimes. So it's just like a combination. So for me to put it a hypnosis
Yeah.
is not
Yeah.
fair to do because people will be like, oh, I thought that was a hypnosis. It was a whole trip. Yes, it is a whole trip with your subconscious.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it. Yeah, totally. Well, wait, I have to ask you. Oh, wait. Okay, I have a quick question first. So,
Yes.
can you answer for the listeners? This is what, like, explain why. So, if you have two people and they
Mhm.
follow the same exact strategy and they both really want to like say for example DM strategy, right? Like a lot of people I coach on how to make sale, how to follow the sales process, do it in a more relationship based. So not any like cold pitches or fucking any of
Yeah.
that shit. But
Yeah.
like, I started out with braces and a bad haircut in my first pharma job. I looked like I was like 14 years old and I was calling on like old men that were oncologists that had gone to school for like 18 years. I mean, they'd been in
Yeah.
school almost as long as I'd been alive. And so I couldn't sell off like my authority or
Yeah.
look at my expert, I know more than you, kind of like
Yeah.
that was not gonna fly because they all looked at me like I was their, like, college daughter, that was back home
Right.
for break? And so I started just forming relationships and, getting listening well and getting to know the offices and building connections, and that's what's worked for me for so long, and I feel like that's really where we're going, like what you're saying around, emotions and feelings and, really tapping into that, but not in, like, a manipulative way, more of, like, a connection based way, right?
Correct.
So in the DM strategy, that's a lot of what I walk people through. And you could have two people who make, the same amount of DMs, reach out, they've got the same amount of intentions, but one it works for and the other it doesn't. Like the other is just like hitting like no, they don't know, you know what I mean? They don't know what's going on. So
Yeah.
what do you think's going on there? Because I love getting the other side too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everything comes down to who you are. That
Yeah.
is a very important with money and everything that has to do with business. Strategies, there are a thousand of strategies,
Yeah.
just like money, right? I can teach you a thousand of strategies. That is only gonna be a one perfect strategy for you, and is the one that works for you.
Yeah.
And that needs to consider your story, that needs to consider what you like and what you don't, that needs to consider what you believe it can get you there and what you don't.
Mhm.
So when it comes to having, let's say, sales, the money amount of the sale, having the same conditions, having the same strategy, I will ask, how do you feel with this strategy? Because
Mhm.
the truth is that when you embody the strategy, that's yours. You
Yeah.
can make it work, right? You don't don't doubt about it. But when you start doubting about it, and when you are shushing your story and what really you are aligned to, then the results are less, and even worse, the results that you get add to that
The
money
story.
story. Right, add to that money story, creating a bigger layer to work
Yeah.
through. So I'm huge on not DMing. I don't DM people.
Mhm.
It's just it wasn't for me. But I had to discover that for myself too. I understood what my ways are. I understood what fits with my money story. I have a huge tendency to be trigger, or the shame to be triggered on my money story, and I actively work on that because my upbringing was a lot of shame around money. So I'm very aware of that, and every time that I see the trigger coming in, I'm like, hey, I know you, I know you're here for a reason. Let's dive deep on into that. So all of my strategies around my work allows me to put a perfect stage for me to recognize and work, instead of being, beating myself down because of it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, so for me, I like there was definitely a lot of that too growing up because my it was always like we'd have a lot of money and then it just wasn't safe to have a lot of money, right? And so I remember because my dad actually was in jail when I was really young and they got him. I'm like, was he Pablo Escobar? Because like, what was he really doing in Colombia in the 70s?
Right.
Fascinating. And so, but yeah, he went to they got them on tax evasion, but it was pretty
Mhm.
much bringing marijuana into the States, right? You know, back in the
Right.
days in Florida, come on.
Yeah.
And so, and so we had obviously like, and I was young, I would have been like, 3 or 4 years old when all of that was happening. So very formative memories. And my mom got remarried when I was 7. And so, but she got married to a school teacher, a safe school teacher. And so we didn't have a
Mhm.
lot of money growing up, but it was a safe, nice, fine life, right? And so,
Right.
um, but I remember when I was young, my mom paying like 66,000 to the IRS, like in back taxes. So like we went from being very wealthy, living in a super nice house, like on the water, to now we're living like like in a
Mhm.
suburb, like what's this, or in like an apartment, and in my life actually that happened to me multiple times where I would have this job where I'd make a lot of money. I had 100K in the bank, and then I got divorced, and my ex-husband, I had to split a lot of it with him and spend a lot on lawyers, and then I would
Right.
build it up and then get laid off, or I'd get and go blow through it, and so there's a lot of looking at that repatterning and being like, okay, no, no availability for that shit anymore. Like we are
Yeah,
gonna up and up
exactly.
only, up and up only. But you can't, I always tell my husband, like, you can't paint over the mold, like you can't just be like there's
Correct.
no weeds there, like if something's happening in that pattern, because you can easily, like you say, be shifted back into it, because your brain's like, "Oh, wait, come back to me. That was safe."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Even if you've
Yeah.
done a lot of
It
work
is.
around it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always one, do the work, and two, have the willingness to do the work. It's not that I am exempt from getting into my loops. That's why I have a coach. So she
Yeah.
can call me on my own BS, because that's the thing. When you are in the battle, you cannot see that you are bullshitting.
Yeah.
You you really cannot see it. So that's why I love to be a coach, but I also understand and love to have a coach on myself,
Yeah.
because otherwise I wouldn't get out of my own way. That
Yeah.
is something that I learned very at the very beginning of this year
Mhm.
now. Like I don't want to waste time getting on my way, because that to me is wasting time, when I know I can reach out for somebody, and this person is the most direct person that you can have, so she's not going around like, you're doing this and that, and this is what you need to work on. So
Right.
I
Right.
yeah.
I love it. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay. Have you read this book, The Happy Pocket Full of Money?
Yay!
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. I actually picked it up. Didn't even know where I had put it, and I was getting a hat down from my closet the other night, and I was like, "Oh, that's where it is." Sometimes I feel like, and then you booked it, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna grab that and see if you read it." So it's such a good one. This is like the
Yeah,
money Bible right here. Like if you fall
it's
into this is like the first place. It is like I've got
oh my God, look at it. Yes,
highlighting and everything. So yeah, guys, go to Amazon and get a happy pocket full of money if you want to
yeah.
learn about the infinite wealth and abundance in the here and now. And Alejandra, so much. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was such a fabulous conversation. This was worth $1,000 in itself. Like she took you to church here, money church. All right. Like I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much.
So tell everybody, where do you hang out? Like give all the details. I'm going to put what you gave me into the show notes so you guys can go find Alejandra too. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram most of the time. So I'm there as at Money Mindset Expert. You can go to my website, themoneymindset.hub.com, and you can find all of the offering programs right now. I am opening spaces for the income accelerator. So if you want to increase your income, break income plateau, that is the program for you. We talk about it here. So just check it out, themoneymindset.hub.com/income, and you will get all of the details there.
Okay, perfect. I can't wait. I'm going to come follow you on Instagram too, because I
Yeah.
love all of the money stuff. You got to stay on top of your money mindset, guys, because it is something that you don't just do once and then stop doing. If you do that, it's the equivalent of working out to look hot on vacation and then you just eat
Yeah.
like steak fries and fried mayonnaise balls and drink your face off for like 2 months and 2 years and then wonder why your body's gone to shit. So definitely stay on top of it. You
Perfect example.
know? So thank you so much. I love this conversation. And, I am so excited that you're the first guest on this podcast. And I can't wait well, by now I've released it, but internally right now, my little money mindset girl is excited. So thank you so much. You guys have a beautiful rest of your day. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Thank
I want you to imagine for a second that you are the type of person who feels completely confident when you're promoting your programs and you know exactly what to say and do and how to say it and how to do it during all of your sales conversations so that you get on the phone with people who are already pre-sold asking, how can we get started without you even having to pitch them? How amazing would that be? Now, this is the type of result that you can expect in the Sales Queen Takeover Mastermind. This is my new mastermind that's starting in March. And this will change the course of your business forever because you will not only attract people who want to buy, but you'll start attracting leaders who want to stay with you a long time and keep working with you. So if you are a coach or consultant or creative who wants to easily fill out and sell your programs with your ideal fit clients and start hearing way more of a yes and no more getting ghosted, then DM me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Cassie McKenzie on LinkedIn or at XO Cassie McKenzie on Instagram and DM me the word takeover so that we can talk about how this will change the course of your business and I can share some of my secrets around, give you some ideas you can implement immediately based off of what you're doing currently and what you can be doing in a non-salesy way to make more sales and to really feel proud and feel powerful when you're selling because it becomes more fun, right? It's more fun, easy, and effortless. So DM me on social media to talk about this, or you can book a call by hitting up the show notes, the link in the show notes, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.
If you loved this episode of I'm Not Salesy, then go ahead and hit subscribe so that you're notified of the next episode. And also leave a 5-star rating and a review. And if you send it to the link in the show notes, we will send you a present in return. We also love to feature reviews on the podcast as well. So we'd love to feature yours. So go ahead and send a screenshot to the inbox and come find me on social media. I love hearing what you're up to and how you're becoming not salesy too. I'll see you in the next episode.